Over the last 24 hours, all hell broke loose across every single financial market. We're not just talking about crypto. We're not just talking about stocks. We're talking about every single market just experienced a massive sell-off. Now, with that in mind, taking a quick look at crypto over the last 48 hours, essentially, because this has all led into this severe sell-off that happened in the last 24 hours. Everything has been down in terms of the actual market since roughly the beginning into like the middle of October. October 6th specifically marked a local top for the crypto market cap at 4.28 trillion. Mind you, we are trading at 2.92 trillion right now, and our low was about 2.82 trillion. This is wild to see. Now, crypto ETFs over the last 24 hours as well have experienced a very significant outflow. We could track them here as well. And just overall, fear and greed within crypto hitting 11, the lowest level since going back to roughly like 2022. This is what you kind of, again, I don't want to say like, oh, hey, let's celebrate our portfolios getting wiped out. But this is exactly what you want to see. I know that right now everyone is telling you to be fearful, get scared, get concerned. You know, Bitcoin is at 85K. XRP is at $1.98. In the last 24 hours, we're seeing, altcoins down 10+%. In the last 7 days, we're seeing them down 20+%. So we should be scared. We should be concerned. We should be worried, right? We should, be jumping out of this market right now. That's what they want. When we are seeing fear and greed at 11 in extreme fear, while Bitcoin is back above 85K and XRP is still above, $1.90. I mean, you got to think about it like this, right? XRP is trading at $1.98. This is what the all-time chart looks like. And we are at extreme fear. The lowest extreme fear level since going back to this level here. Isn't that insane? Like, this is exactly why when I'm looking at the sentiment in this market, I'm looking at how far we have really come on, price. Because again, like, if we look at Bitcoin right now, this is what we currently look like. We just retested the support going all the way back to the yearly support level. Bitcoin is down, mind you, from the high wick here, 36% roughly. Our wick back here was about 32%. Our wick back here was 33, almost 34%. And we just dropped 35.74%. We are in extreme fear levels while Bitcoin is still around 85K. Lowest level, by the way, fear and greed, lowest level since back here. And this sell-off is our third significant sell-off this cycle. We are so used to these. Back in 2017, multiple, I think it was like 5 plus 30% pullbacks. Back in 2021, you might say, all right, well, we didn't really have any back in 2021, right? Well, you had the COVID crash, right? Which was like 60%. I know this is like a scam wick here, but it was like 60 some percent, or sorry, let me go back here. I didn't notice that the time frame here was off. This is 59%, followed by, a nice little sell-off in October. This was like about 22, almost 23%. And then we also have another sell-off in the summer, which was about 55%. And this was just a few of the sell-offs in between the cycle, because even before the COVID crash, we had another 53% drawdown. So we had 50+% pullbacks, and most people during that time, during COVID, everyone was kind of, panicked. They thought it was the end of crypto. But for the most part, some of these major sell-offs during the cycle were kind of just overlooked. Nobody really cared. Everyone was extremely bullish. This time around, we're seeing 30% pullbacks, the third one of the cycle, and everyone is panicking. All hell is breaking loose. But what's even crazier about this is that, Bitcoin's fear and greed is at 14. Yesterday, it was at 11. This is insane to see. Now, most of the negative price action in this market has been driven by liquidations. I'm pretty sure you can check liquidations now on CMC. I'm not too sure. However, we already have the amount of liquidations. It's higher than FTX. It's higher than COVID. 1.9 billion in liquidations. FTX was 1.6. COVID was 1.2. Again, if we're thinking about this, this causes mass panic. It causes a cascade in terms of price action. Like, you might be saying, all right, well, only 1.9 billion. Only 1.9 billion. I mean, the market cap of crypto is 2.92 trillion. Why is $1.9 billion wiping out the market in a big way? Well, this is why I keep telling you guys that market cap in this space is, and market cap in general, is a little bit of, a stat that I don't really put a lot of weight behind, because in order to move Bitcoin, you don't need, trillions of dollars, even though the market cap is at 1.7 trillion. This type of sell-off will affect positions significantly regardless of their market cap position. It all goes by the trading volume. If it's a net negative of the day, it's going to affect the price. When it comes back to liquidations, this causes cascades. It causes sell pressure. It might only be 1.9 billion in liquidations. That's enough to move the price down a significant amount. And then all of a sudden, you have people panic selling, which also exaggerates the sell pressure. But like I said, it wasn't just crypto, okay? It was also, stocks. Stocks started to sell off in a big way yesterday. In fact, yesterday was probably one of the most significant sell-offs that we've had in terms of stocks in a while. Since going all the way back here to, October 10th as well. I mean, October 10th was kind of close. It was about like 3.1%. This was about 3.5%. Prior to that, our last major sell-off was back in August. This was roughly a 3.34% push, but this was not in a single daily candle. These were, single daily candles. That's insane to think about, because, prior to that, even some of the wicks back here in April were not even as much as some of these sell-offs. But if we're looking at this and we're looking at, 3%, we're starting to see that multiplied when it comes back to crypto. So this is another major factor that's, on top of the liquidations, on top of peak selling. Stocks also affect the market in a big way because, again, it's the idea that risk on assets are not becoming, a little bit more popular. Maybe people are trying to jump into dollars. Maybe they're trying to jump into money market funds. Whatever the case may be, it's affecting the market in a negative way. But the main thing that I'm looking at with stocks, because I'm sure that everyone wants to know, like, are we bottomed here? Because, XRP hit, under $2. On the weekly, by the way, we are at, major significant support levels. And everyone wants to know, are we bottomed out here? Is this the bottom for Bitcoin? Is this the bottom for XRP? Well, the main thing that I'm looking at is this the bottom for stocks? And we won't know for certain with stocks until we create a higher high. I have been following this since our high back here on November 12th. If you have been in the Discord, for those that are in the Discord, then you know that I have been following these high peaks. The main thing that I wanted to see with stocks is that we didn't have a dead cat bounce. This is a dead cat bounce. We have a jump to the upside. Failure to break over previous highs. This is a lower high. Now we have another lower high. What I want to see here, and considering the fact that we did create a lower low as well going off of all of this support, what I want to see out of stocks here is a big break back over the October resistance. which will also, have us slightly breaking over our high here. I want to see us reclaim 67.64, create a higher high going off of our November 20th high, and then start to break back to the November 12th high, and then also the October 29th high. It's going to take some time, but that's where we start to also see a rebound with Bitcoin. And that's where we could see if it is a confirmation that we are going to, bottom here or not. Now, in terms of fear and greed for the S&P, yesterday we hit 6. Guys, this is crazy if you think about it, because again, this is a massive, significant low. In fact, in terms of like extreme fear, I would argue that this is probably the lowest since, obviously back in April, most of these markets hit a very significant extreme low. But it's kind of crazy to look at extreme fear the way that we are looking at it now, because, back in April, we did hit 3 for extreme fear. The main thing that I'm looking at here with fear and greed is how high things are still and how this sell-off, although yes, we have been selling off since October with the S&P, it was down about like 5.75%. The main thing that I'm looking at here is we hit extreme fear back in April when we dropped 21+% on the S&P. We just dropped 5.75%. We hit 7. Guys, we hit back here 3. This is a 21% pullback. This is a 5.75% pullback. The problem now is that everyone is scared that things are going to get 10 times worse, that, something's breaking, the AI bubble's popping. Everyone is panicked. But we shouldn't be panicked at this moment, because again, if we're looking at extreme fear, if we start to create higher highs on these charts, including of course Bitcoin, with extreme fear being at the level that it's at now, that gives us so much fuel for the next run up, because now sentiment is completely reset. We're not even close to euphoria, right? This allows us to get to those euphoric levels, have euphoria flood the markets, and the market go crazy again. And also we have a great inverse indicator from Jim Cramer that also said earlier today, the consistent bullish crypto cheerleaders are due for a full court press using claims of 1 million per Bitcoin in 2030 or some other magical nonsense. They need to defend themselves as they always do. Saylor due for multiple appearances. I will ChatGPT what Saylor will say today. So now Jim is bearish. He was just bullish back in July, by the way. He said that, he wants to own Bitcoin and Ethereum for his kids because it's a hedge against US national debt. But all of a sudden he switched up. This is a very good sign, because if Jim Cramer is bearish, typically you want to be bullish. He's a great inverse indicator. People actually have an inverse indicator for him on their charts and in their portfolios, which I find very comical. But the main thing that we're looking at here is across the board, we're supposed to be scared right now. Everyone wants us to be scared. Every indicator wants us to be scared. Fear and greed wants us to be scared. Price action wants us to be scared. I'm not going to be scared when we are seeing fear and greed at the lows that they are, while price action is not telling us that we should be that fearful. In my opinion, this feels like a coordinated flush to flush liquidity, flush the leverage, shake the tree a bit, and all this entire time, what is the goal? Have people on the sidelines that will FOMO in on the next run up. It's a repeat of almost every single major sell-off that we've seen in history, especially for crypto. So right now, I'm not concerned. I'm not panicked. I'm not fearful. In fact, I'm starting to get even more bullish than I already was. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.